What's up, y'all? This is Terry Lewis, and I want you to check out my interview on Amaru Don TV.
Now, have you had any in studio experiences with some of the people that you mentioned before, like the Michael Jacksons? Is there any stories you can tell of being actually in the studio with these legends?
Wow. Well, I'll give you a story about Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, one of the most incredible artists of all time. We worked with Michael Jackson on a song called Scream that he did. It was a duet with Janet. And we went to work with Michael. Michael had booked a whole studio. In the 5 or 6 rooms, he had people working in every individual room doing different songs. And we were so blessed to have him walk into our room, and he liked the song that we had written and he wanted to record it, but he didn't record it right there. He took a copy of it, he went home, he studied it, and we waited for 2 days for him to return. Well, when he walked into the room, he started singing. He gave so much energy and so much passion in that hour and a half it took him to record the entire song that it was amazing. Because that's what the era that he came from, that was the professionalism inside of him. He just wasn't going to go in there and just play around with it and sing the first thing and say it was good. And then after we recorded the song, I mean, it was amazing, the energy that came from the song. He listened to the song again and wanted to do more because that was the kind of guy that he was. He was a perfectionist. And then he would ask questions like, what do you think about this? He said, are these lyrics the best lyrics? Are we, is it okay for me to say these type of things? I mean, he analyzed and cross-analyzed everything that he did in terms of musically, because he wanted to make sure that he was always doing his best.
And also shows some form of humility that he's not coming in there just like, I know all. He's actually willing to actually get feedback from other people. Well,
yeah, we come from the era where we cross-reference and talk about things, because that's how things got done. I mean, we like to spar with other people about music and about ideas and concepts, which is what in the complexity of things, it makes it a lot better, because everybody has a different view of the same thing. So yeah, I think it's a great thing.
Now, you've had #1 singles in America. Can you tell the people some of the #1 hits that you've had overseas or back home in the States?
Man, you're making me go into trivia. See, I don't do trivia. Well, I've had a lot of #1s in the UK and in America, so yes. Just check the 80s and 90s and you'll find Jammin' Lewis. I mean, not to blow our horn, but I'll blow it. We are the tied for #2, I believe. So either #3 or #2 producers of all time with #1 hits. And there are only 2 other producers on that level. And that would be the Beatles producer and Elvis producer. So I think that's pretty good for 2 young fellas from Minneapolis.
In terms of moving on to the actual music industry, you hear countless stories of it being said that it's quite shady, there's a lot of underhanded things that happen. Is there anything that you personally would have done differently in your career so far in terms of how you would have handled any business within the music game?
In terms of the music industry being shady, I don't think the music industry is shady. I think there's a lot of shady people in the music industry. So I think with that being said, you always have to protect yourself and have a good team around you, both from financially and legally. And one thing that I always say is always try to own as much of yourself as you possibly can, because that's your annuity against it all. So at the end of the day, you want to own as much of your publishing as you can. You want to own your masters if you can. But that's fairly difficult in today's world. You just want to make sure you don't get yourself into a situation you can't get out of. You know, sometimes you have to work your way through a situation. A lot of people sign and you give up things, but at some point you'll be able to reacquire those things. But you know, my suggestion for anybody that's trying to get into any business is just do your homework. You know, just don't give it all up. Just do your homework and do some studying. And a lot of people don't like to study. Everybody these days just like to be microwave, throw it in the microwave for 2 seconds and it's heated up the way, you know. No, you have to take your time and you have to do your study. You have to know the people that you're going to get in business with, because all that stuff's available to you. If you don't use it, then who's the fool? You know, you're the fool. I mean, you have all the information available. Some of my favorite work that we've done has never been published. It's never come out. Yeah.
Why is that? Is that business, or is it? Why would it be?
Well, once again, we're back to A&R people. You know, people who think they know, who vie for their own interests, whatever the reasoning may be. But, you know, I never squabble. I just pack it away. Just like go squirrel with nuts. I just pack it away, and eventually it'll see light of day. With
A&R people, though, it's a bit difficult because they aren't usually in position for too long to actually. It's almost like they're making decisions on now, today.
Well, good ones are. Good A&R people span decades. You know, a lot of people, and you know, I'm not saying all A&R people are bad, because there are some passionate A&R people who love music. But a lot of people who get into business today are based, the reasonings are based on financial gain and notoriety, and it has nothing to do with music. And you know, it's kind of got, when you put people in charge who have not the interest of the totality of things to be in their mind, but just of one thing to be in their mind, then it's not a good, it's a recipe for disaster. It just doesn't work out that way. So, you know, until the industry starts to put the music first and the business second again, we're going to have problems with that.